Hey everyone, are we live? Can anyone just comment in the comments and let us know that we are live? Till that, let's begin. So today we have Om from for the talk over here, and he's going to tell us about data science and stuff. He's engineer at Deloitte, and now I will let him introduce himself. So please, Om.
So, hi everyone. First of all, thank you Pranav and the whole Nasik team for having me in this such a beautiful session of TensorFlow community. And so the intro about myself. So I am Om Ashish Mishra. I'm currently working as a data product engineer in Deloitte, and I have around 3 years of experience in our in data science, data engineering, and generative AI. And today we'll be discussing about the various pathways how to go for data science. And with that, I'll also say that I write numerous blogs on technical and spirituality, and I also talk about generative AI on various podcasts, and I also help out people in communities of your TensorFlow, Keras, coming to GCP, and as well as Azure. So nice to meet you all. Let's get started.
Awesome. Let's get to our first question. And the first question is really what the event is based on. So, what is data science?
So coming to data science, so recently it has become a very buzzword. Like current, it's trending for a long time. So if we know, like we heard this machine learning, artificial intelligence, and then coming to this currently buzzing, this Chat GPT, all of this belongs to one thing. It's called data science. So this data science is basically a concept where numbers as well as your texts are being crunched together in order to get more insights from the data. So I'll give you a very good use case of this. So many of us use your Netflix, right? So in Netflix, when we start to open a channel and see what all things are there, what all movies are there, what all series are there, and what all uh, categories of movies are there. So that time we see there's a horror movies, there are action movies, and suppose we choose to watch horror movies. One after the other, we are watching horror movies. So tomorrow, if you switch on to Netflix, you will see that again a set of horror movies are again coming up. So how is this happening? So the machine that's there, it actually analyzes your behavior. It sees that you are watching horror movies, you're liking horror movies, so it's trying to keep you retained into the platform by showing you more horror movies. Similarly, if you go for Instagram, you will see that Instagram, like if you keep watching anime, like I am also anime lover. If you watch anime, you will see that uh, if you keep scrolling about One Piece or any anime shows, and after sometimes you'll get in the feeds, you'll keep getting these animes recommendations, and this will keep coming. So how does it analyze that? It sees that which ones you like, which shows you are liking the most, be it your movies, be it your animes, be it your any on online platforms. So the models in Instagram, they see that what you like, comment, and share. On the basis of that, they keep analyzing and giving you results. All these things are use cases of data science. Similarly, in industry, there are various different workplace are there where data science is actually taking the insights of the data and making some intellectual guesses so that the business can pull over people and keep them hooked to their systems. So that's the overall analysis of data science for me.
Yeah, and uh, data science and machine learning field both are correlated to each other, but there is also some difference. So, can you elaborate that difference between data
Sure,
science
sure,
and
sure.
machine learning?
So, so there's a like these are all umbrella terms to be very specific. So it all starts with artificial intelligence, where it has like robotics, then your data processing, neural networks, then it has your statistical tables. All it comes under your artificial intelligence. Inside artificial intelligence, when we go for a specific branch where we're crunching with data, understanding numbers, understanding texts, so numerically, then it comes to data science. Inside data science, if you go more specifically to understand only things that are like predicting data by help of models. For example, we have like for example, we have a apple. Okay, so apple has various features, like it is red in color, it has a shape, it has it might have a leaf or not a leaf on top of it. So these are the various features of apples, and then it is labeled as apple. So this classification, like we classify is this an apple or not, this is done by machine learning. So inside data science, there's a particular branch, it is called machine learning, which learns by input and output. It looks like the input, and then it's try to predict the output. It can be like your what to say. It can be like predicting the final output, or it has a set of data and doesn't know what the data actually belongs to, in which column. Where suppose there's a bunch of students standing in front of you, you don't know their actual how to group them. In that case, you ask them like what all details they have. Some might like after talking to them, you will find that some belongs to commerce, some belongs to arts, and some belongs to science, and then you can group them accordingly, right? So all this analysis, like how to group the data and how to like classify the data, or if the machine is doing wrong, and how to teach them in order to make it better, all this comes under machine learning. So machine learning has two parts to it. One is a task, where you assign some task to it, and from that task, it actually learns something. So for example, you give a cat and dog example to the machine. It learns the shape of the shapes and the features that are given to the machine. Like, is this a is this a nose? Is this a eyes? And how the shapes are different. From that, it learns from it, and that's how the cat and dog differences are come up. And machine learning feature it does feature engineering on top of that. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a very descriptive answer. So I would like to ask you something about languages used in data science. So basically, we use Python in majority, but there are some languages like R too that are being used in the industry. So what would you prefer, and why would you prefer that language?
Sure. So coming to the languages, it has been seen that we used to use R a lot, specifically previously, and now we are not using R that much. Why R turned out to be a very good machine learning language is that it has all statistical models and purely mathematical background it has. So if you are in college, you must have seen we are using MATLAB, and then we have something similar to it. We have quick in back in schools we have logos, like there's some logo softwares were there. So these all things which are previously there are very good at maths, but the problem with R is you can't that directly integrate it to the online. Like you can't push the R code to the online and showcase in the dashboard. Here, what Python is making a biggest jump compared to R. So Python, what does it do? It is able to not only do the modeling as well as it connects to the online platforms with the help of Django or by using Flask. So that's why the Python is constantly growing. There are more research papers in Python compared to R, and we see that in the coming future that even Python is leaving behind and many other languages are coming up. For example, currently Julia is into the market. Julia is also coming, and Julia has also understanding of how to integrate the background operating system with the softwares, and it is much more seamless compared to your Python. So researchers are still going on, but Python is highly recommended if you're going to start with data science as a fresher or as a person who really wants to love data science. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, so uh, I will go a little bit technical. So what I usually do is use Python because it has a whole ecosystem of machine learning, and there is a community support, lot of community support of Python. So what I do is use pandas, which is used to handle all these data frames uh, in Python. So what does basic workflow in industries look like? Because you guys not might be using PD not read CSV. You might be connected to some SQL database, or it will be a MongoDB database. So how you manage those databases and how you work upon them?
Sure. So coming to the industrial experience with data science, so we have the various pipelines as first. So it starts like we have a raw data that we get it from our clients. So this raw data can be saved anywhere. So generally we save it in any of the three platforms, be it your Azure, be it your GCP, or be it your AWS. We save there, getting up to the client, and then we have data pipelines in order to clean this data. So when we get, suppose the data is having a lot, suppose we are getting a data set from example, for any store you take. For example, we take Haldiram. Suppose you're getting a data from Haldiram, and they want us to analyze the data and predict like how to increase their customer base. Okay, so the data has various columns like who are their past customers, how much sales they made last year, how much sales they made this year, and how much they are going to, like what are the goods, the sweets they are selling. So this data we have. Now, it might be that there are a lot of junk values are there in the data. There might be a lot of missing values might be there. There might be like some data might be like misinterpreted also, right? So we have to clean this data. In order to clean this data, what we do in that in industry, we have data pipelines. What do I mean by data pipelines? I told you that we store the data in GCS buckets in AWS, or we store in Azure blog in Azure, or in GCP buckets in our cloud storage. And from there we have some connections. We have made some PubSub connections and as well as some Azure connections, and through that we bring it into our databases. And people, companies like various companies have various data frames. So they use data bricks or snowflakes, or they use Tecton, and they try to pull the data into one place where they can actually clean it and use it further for better customer users. So how do the data cleaning takes place? Now, coming to the data cleaning, there are like, first it goes for checking whether there are missing values or not. We check there are missing values, and how, what are the different type of imputations are there. Be it your like, if it's numerical, it can be like a mean, median, or mode, or completely checking the closest value, next closest value, or using some KNN imputators in order to impute the data. Apart from that, we have some certain libraries. There's a called data wing library that's very efficient to handle this null values imputators. And coming to categorical, we see the mode, like check the mode, like how, which word, which person, like which brand actually spend the most. Or if the value is missing from a lot of data, we actually label it as unknown, so that we don't bucket it in the wrong data set. So that is how missing values handle. And after handling the missing values, so go for understanding the categorical to numerical values. For that, there are various types of encodings are there, be it like one hot encoding, be it your label encoding or target encoding. So we analyze the data and check the behavior of the data, how important that characters actually is. If it's not in, like suppose we have a customer ID column and there's a customer name column. Customer ID and names are unique, so in that case we don't need to have the customer name, so you can just remove that, right? And suppose we have a hierarchy structure, like we have something called uh, Haldiram branches, and instead of Haldiram branches we have Haldiram sub branches. Okay, then this becomes really important. In those cases we have to level encode them. So we after understanding which are the best level encoding techniques, we level encode them, and then we have cleaned the data and made it in a numerical format. Then we have to do some feature scaling, where we have to see that the ranging of the values are not going beyond 1 and -1, or depending on the business use case. Because as a data scientist, you have to talk to the business constantly to showcase that are we correct, going in the right direction, are they looking for this exact thing or not. So after looking at that, like doing feature scaling from -1 to 1, so we have got all our data into place, and then we go forward and this cleaning is done, everything is done, and then we do feature engineering. We understand which of the features are actually important for our data sets. Are they really contributing the most? Like doing some correlation matrix and doing some accuracy testing and doing some confusion matrix. We try to check like which are the features are actually playing the most of the roles. So after checking this, we are passing the data into our models, and that time this model, that this data which is ready, is called MRD. It's called Model Ready Data Set, because we are passing it to the model and we're getting the final values. So this is the pipeline that's normally being followed. And sometimes what happens is that in companies, we are not only restricted to first party, we have third party data as well, right? So we get the first party data. We tell to the client that, see, we have you give us the first party data, we have the third party data which you are not known of. We'll use that data too and tell you much more insights about the data compared to what is currently present. So there's a data engineering pipeline is created where we pull the first party data from the buckets, and then we have stored personally the third party data. We merge these two and then we go for feature engineering and all the processes till we make the model ready data set. That's the whole industrially we are using this what to say, this pipeline architecture.
Right. That was a really descriptive answer. You also told us some industrial practices which were unknown to us. So, as someone who just knows Python, how can I approach this field to get hired or just be better at data science?
Sure. So if you know Python, you know the basic Python, if the concepts is there. So what you can do is that you can start exploring the courses that are online that are available. I would suggest that don't directly jump off to Coursera, because sometimes it's too theoretical, and sometimes what happens, students try to fall into something called tutorial hell. So they go through one course, suppose they go through Coursera course, and then they go through Udemy course, and then they see something like Udacity scholarship has come up, they go for that course. So in this journey, they fall into this tutorial hell. So I was one of the victims in the past. I have seen that happening with me and my friends, and then I understood, no, this is not the right way. So what you do is that first you take any one course. For example, I won't suggest Coursera because Coursera is too theoretical. First, I would suggest you go through some Udemy courses where like A to Z super learning, like machine learning courses like that. But there's a but to it, they will make your mind very restricted, like this is the actual only way to solve it. So what I'll suggest is that you learn from that course, then you start exploring in the open source, do some hands-on with the open source projects. And if you're not feeling that it's too much for open source, go to Kaggle and start exploring in Kaggle. In Kaggle, you will get data sets. You'll also get a set of learning in Kaggle, but that's very minimal. That's not like it's very short. What I would suggest is that you go for this boot camp sessions or this A to Z learning sessions in Udemy, learn from there, come here and practice those learning in the notebooks of Kaggle. Like there are a lot of data sets are there. Practice that. And if you have doubts, like if you're not able to understand, the Kaggle community is very helpful. You can just ask some doubts on the discussion forum and people will get back to you. And even if that doesn't help you, then just go to Chat GPT and write that prompt that please explain me this concept as if I'm a 5-year-old kid. And it will explain you beautifully with code and with every line step by step. So this is currently the power and generation. And just I would recommend, like, go for Python, take some course like on Udemy, because there's no ads and all, it's free. And you'll be able to focus on it and try to focus on one course at a time. I know world is hyping a lot, like lot of things are coming up, but try to finish one, then jump to the other course or something. But do some projects as well as you do the course. You will get some hands-on. Udemy has good quality hands-on sessions as well. They'll set up wise and hands-on. But I would suggest that with that, try to help, go to Kaggle as well, do some challenge like 30 days challenge. I will write something or the other in Kaggle, so that it's like you'll get habituated to it. Instead of spending 20 hours in a day on learning a course, spend half an hour or 1 hour to learn the course, and then spend another half an hour or 1 hour in actually building something. So that it's not only about like learning, it's about showcasing what you have learned. This will help you to build up your resume as well. Yeah. So my answer to this will be, first, if you know basic Python, go for some Udemy course, like A to Z Udemy course, or your this even on YouTube if it's all free. So try to mimic what they're trying to do, learn the steps like from there, and then if you don't understand something, ask Chat GPT or ask Kaggle community, and or then you can like start doing your own projects and at the same time. Yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, I would like to add one more thing to this. So, as Om mentioned about Kaggle, so in Kaggle discussions, there are some notebooks called EDA notebooks, which is exploratory data analysis. So, you guys can just go there and try to explore the data set, read it, or make different kinds of graph. This is also considered as a worthy contribution to the Kaggle community because they someone can just go through your notebook and he will get to know everything about the data set. And Om also mentioned about open
Open source.
there is something in my throat. Okay, so Om mentioned about open source. So how open source and data science correlate with each other?
Yes.
Like are there
So,
any projects or repositories that
yes, yes,
connect?
yes. Yeah. So coming to the open source, there is like FOSS. If you have heard of FOSS, so FOSS has very good projects in data science. Apart from that, recently, if you have taken part, is currently going on the Hacktoberfest. In the Hacktoberfest also, they have released a lot of notebooks which are for free for the users in order to learn from the open source. And there are some notebooks from even by the H2O.ai. It's a data science community which works extensively on making AI as a software and as a service. So you can go there and check their notebooks. They're phenomenal notebooks, and also their Kaggle notebooks is equally good, where you'll get come across like writers like grandmasters of Kaggle, like Parol Pandey, SKR, and Rohit. They all are writing phenomenally. So you can follow those people on Kaggle as well as their notebooks and their data sets on GitHub, and contribute to the open source. Like this, like Force, like something called Force Asia is there. The Force Asia is currently having a lot of open source notebooks. Apart from that, there's another one called GSOC, Google Summer of Code. So they also keep holding sessions for machine learning and data science projects, where they keep looking for students who can contribute there as well. So this is also a very good opportunity. And there's a Hacktoberfest page is there, separate page is there, where they actually label the and put tags on these notebooks. Are they machine learning, or is TensorFlow, or is it like deep learning, like that? You can just type those tags name, you'll get those projects. You can directly go and apply for it, being a contributor in those projects as well. Yep.
Yeah. So the next question from my side would be, what certifications are usually valued in the industry? Like there are a lot of certifications available. So if you are a recruiter, which certification would you value?
Sure, sure. That's a very good question. Like, I've seen people talking about this learning paths, but they don't talk much about certification. So there are two aspects to it. Like, even Elon Musk says, like, he prioritizes skills over certification on school degrees, college degrees. But I'll say that if you are going for certifications, focus on getting cloud certifications like GCP or AWS or Azure. The reason being, the companies that you will be going to, they are actually using these platforms to leverage their products. Okay, so they actually don't. Not every time they sit down and write the code from the very scratch. They use this cloud certifications and their products directly because they get access to it, and these models are extremely good and quite fast as well. So some of the certifications that I personally did and I recommend others to do is that if you are going for Azure, so first of all start with the Azure AZ 900 fundamentals. That's the basic certification of Azure. Start with that. So it's like like it's like a, think of it like there are a lot of you have attending a wedding and there are a lot of food items are there, and you have to, and you want to go and check it out all. So This AWS 900 fundamental is like your first going, like you just go and check around everything, that what all are there, what all you think is good and what all you like. So you get quite used to all the facilities that are there in a cloud, be it in Azure. So once you do that, you're open to the other certifications. It's like your architecture, data engineering, then associate data scientist, then expert in data. Now recently they have released Gen AI also certification. You're actually exposed to many certifications just by completing the first certification, that is Azure 900 fundamentals. Similarly, there's another certification. It's a very basic level. You can try. It's called Azure AI 900 fundamentals. It will consist of all the basics that you need to be an Azure data scientist. Then you can go for associate data scientist in Azure. So these are the certification in Azure. Coming to GCP, so GCP has something called GCP Associate Cloud Engineer. So this is a basic certification where you learn the basics, like what is, how to make a account in GCP, how to authenticate it, how to get the ownership, what all features are there in GCP, like BigQuery, big data, then PubSub, all these things. And then going forward, they have something called Professional Data Engineering Certification, GCP Data Engineering. So first you complete the associate one, then you will be unlocked to GCP Professional Data Engineering Certification. And then there's something called, apart from that, this is a specialized course on a machine learning engineer, this certification in GCP. This also helps you expose a lot of your opportunities in lot of big MNCs. So I recently completed this one, ML GCP ML engineering. So it happened that, like, they've entirely changed the whole syllabus currently, and it's like I was shocked, like when I entered the exam hall, like wow, like I didn't expect this to happen. But they have become more technical now, and once you not only learn the subject, you also get a practicality, like how to use the, you know like how people industrially use these concepts in the day-to-day life, the machine learning concepts. Those questions are well handled by these exams. So even if you don't give the exam, go and read the dumps. There's something called dumps. Like every exam has dumps on online. You can just find it. Like you can Google it and find it on Google. So you can download and read those dumps. And then if you don't understand, you can ask ChatGPT again. Explain me as a 5-year-old kid. It will explain you how the concepts are there. And coming to AWS, there's something called AWS practical AWS. It's a very fundamental level. So if you complete that, then you can go for ML specialist, AWS ML specialist. So once you do that, you will get access to SageMaker. There's a SageMaker, Sage Racer. These all courses are there in AWS, and that will be open you more opportunities. Right now, if you see, AWS is leading in the cloud compared to your GCP and Azure. So there's a very good initiative. And apart from that, of course, last but not the least, we have a TensorFlow community certification as well, where people come and learn about TensorFlow, how to use Keras, how to do modeling, how to do hyperparameter tuning. All these concepts, machine learning concepts, are been well taught in the TensorFlow certification. So you can also try for that. But I would suggest start with the minimal ones, very basic ones, like the cloud ones at first. The and also in the same try to book some time for your understanding and making projects. Certifications are good, but if you have skills and the right attitude to learn, these certifications will come with time. This in corporate, we get tons of discounts in order to clear the, in order to learn and grasp and give the certification exams. So certifications are good, but I would suggest in colleges nowadays they're also started this discounting to students as well. But I would suggest that focus on first clearing your basics and making some projects that will help you to like go to better towards your certifications. Yeah.
Yeah, so after this session, I will be really going to read those terms and boost up my knowledge regarding those things. Here we have one question in the chat that's please ask about internships and opportunities. So Chinmay might be talking about internships and opportunities in data science and machine learning. So if you can
Sure, sure, sure.
elaborate this.
That's a very good question. So recently it has come to be noticed that there's something called remotive.com. It's a very personalized website where where they're actually, you know, like they're helping out students in getting internships. And I will tell you another way to, and this is a hack. This is a hack to get internships. If it's a job portal also, just go and apply. Okay, you'll get interview. At least you'll get the chance to attend the interviews. Okay, when you attend the interviews, in those cases, you'll come to know what all questions they ask. The questions they'll ask, you might know the answer, you might not know the answer, but you'll come to understand what the market wants. So as a data scientist, what the market is actually looking for. So this will strengthen your concepts. This will improvise you to know like how will you apply, like not apply, sorry, how will you face the market. And I'll give you a real life scenario. So it happened with me back in 2019. There was a job portal open for data scientists. I just wanted an internship, so I just went for it. That job, and like I just went for the job. And they all, many people came there. They're wearing all suit and tie, wearing, like box resume and all. I had just a single paper. I was wearing jeans and t-shirt. I went directly inside. They asked me, what are you doing here? I said that I came for this opportunity. I said that we are not looking for freshers, like freshers or interns. We're looking for full timers. I said okay. Then but this still tried me out, and I understood their questions and tried to answer them. They loved my answers. Even if they couldn't give me an internship or job, I got contacts from there. I could build a rapport with them. So next time what happened is that I, even if there was no opening, since they loved my approach, they helped me to get some internship in some startups. And there's some called Telescope startup is there in Hyderabad. I got into that. So I would suggest that first of all, try to see this remotive.com. This website is full of internships. Apart from that, if you have heard of like Angel List is for startups. This website is full of startups, and startups are actually looking for internships. And if you are from if in your local town as well, in your local town or wherever you stay, if you go there and look out there's some startups are going on, you can approach them. Can I try out in your company as an intern? So the thing is, like, the more you try to approach people, the more your opportunities you'll get. So try to approach as much as possible. And like uh, like I did. I didn't know them, right? I didn't know them personally. They don't know me, but I approached them. So I got some opportunity out there. And first and second, third is that I told you, like, this remotive.com. And fourth, I would say, like, try Angel List. And then fifth, I would say that there's like, try on interstellar.com. You, yeah, they don't give you like upfront like a what to say, face to face internship like on place. You'll get remote internships, but it's good. It's a good way to try it out. And apart from that, like, try to approach people on LinkedIn. Just don't send them a request like to connect and just leave it at that. Write a message to them. Hey, I saw your profile. You are a data scientist. Is there any openings in your company for freshers, or is there a chance to get a recruitment, like that? Write to them. Tell them that you want an internship upfront. So if you try 100, you might land up getting, like, might get to talk to like 20. After 120 might talk to you, and out of 20, one might actually give you an internship. And apart from that, like, there's a lot of virtual internships going on. Like Deloitte is having a virtual internship. Like, you can go and search on YouTube as well, virtual internship at Deloitte, EY, KPMG, Virtusa. They are there, so you can just apply through that. And one more thing I would suggest is um, try to be part of Kaggle communities. In Kaggle also, like lot of recruiters keep going on and searching like whose profiles are good, and many a times it has happened that if your profile is good, they try to approach you for a job. So that's there. And last but not the least, on LinkedIn there people are there, you'll see the blue there's a purple tick mark is there, like hiring it's written. You can talk to them whether they have some openings or not. So these are the some of the ways that I have tried and tested and it worked for me. So I would highly recommend Chinmay, you can try it out in this match. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, staying active in the community actually helps. I will like to share my own experience. So I recently, like few months ago, got like approached by a founder of Stable Diffusion API. So he really liked my GitHub profile. So based on that, he approached me, but things didn't go well further due to my university and college stuff. But look at the good part, that being active in the community actually helps. And then there is someone asking about which website is that. Okay, it was remotive.com.
Can I type it or no?
I think it's remotive.com.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I can, I will
Yes.
just spell for you, Remotive, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So you guys can also check the YC Combinator websites. There also many startups are listed. And let's move to the next question. That's what project one needs to do who has experience in manufacturing domain, like design engineer experience.
Sure. Hi, Mandar. So, coming to a question like the projects that one need to do in manufacturing domain, like design engineer experience, is that you can see like what all type of data you have. First, you understand your data, and then you try to understand what all clients you have. Okay, so the clients you have and the data you have, what actually you can give to your clients via your data. For example, being a design engineer, you'll see that the clients are interested to know like uh, which are the best designs that have gone sold out in the last couple of years. Maximum retail sale was there in last couple of years. As a design engineer, you can see that. So this data that you have, which has the details like when it was manufactured, and what was the technique that was used to manufacture it, what all designing principles were used to manufacture it, and then what all the like cost bearing was done in order to manufacture it. So you see, overall experience wise, the data like that you have, like how you can leverage it in order to bring like more value to your client. So yeah, like if you are not able to understand what are the best things I can do out of my data, you can just make a small dummy data. I will not say that take the whole data, make a dummy data, go to chat gpt. Okay, like don't put the real data, just make a some mummy data. Go to chat gpt with the column syntax and ask chat gpt, see, this is the data I have, this is the knowledge I am holding, so how can I use this to leverage most for my clients? And then the chat gpt will give you some points that even you or me might not have never thought about it. So like it's like totally out of blue. So that's what I would suggest. First of all, try to understand what all things you can bring to the table for your client. Second, what your data currently have. Third, what all things you have that you like apart from knowing python, what all the things you have that will help you to push these boundaries. So if you have basic python skills, try to learn about how in manufacturing or in design engineer, how the others have actually contributed in data science, and try to leverage it. For example, you can read this medium article, very famous, that's towards data science. They write pretty good articles on this. And there's something called Knuggets. So they also write pretty good articles on this. And apart from that, also Kaggle also have similar data sets as yours. There are like a lot of Kaggle competitions on this domain, actually, like manufacturing and design engineer data sets. And so you can go and read their this thing, so you'll get a basic idea that okay, how the people are thinking in this domain in order to get more most out of the data and give more practically help out their clients.
One thing I would like to add to this is in manufacturing domain, they basically try to do anomaly detection. So what is anomaly detection? Is to detect the devices that are not functioning properly. So if suppose I make robots, so I make 10,000s of robots, but some of the robots may not be manufactured correctly. So these guys leverage machine learning to understand that which robot is an anomaly, so they can just pick out and remove the defective ones. So that's one use case I just remembered about manufacturing domain. And then we have next question. uh, will you please share some challenges you faced while learning data science as well as working on the project and how you handled them?
Sure, sure, sure. So my data science journey started in college, like when I was in college second year, and I was just like going through some websites and all. I came and across this very famous, well-known Andrew Ng machine learning course on Coursera. So I took up that course. I started learning from it. I started seeing what all things are there. What is gradient descent? What does parabolic? All these concepts I started to see, and I saw that concepts, but they again they all are theoretical. They are not practical. Like I can't go and I was not like executed like practical executable code. It was not brain formed that time. Like I just knew the theory, but I don't know how to code them. So there was a again another stoppage. So then I again saw this the super classes. This thing came up, A to Z learning on Udemy. Then I shifted to there, and there I actually started to do practical implementation with the understanding practical implementations. And before even I start some projects myself, because I was in second year, out in third year we have these subjects like machine learning subjects coming in second year, which is bounded to mostly your DBMS and DSA operating system. I was in the mode of tutorial hell. Like I'm watching courses one after the other, but I'm not moving forward. Like I know it's like a brain fog type. Like I know things, but I'm not able to execute it. So then I went to my friends who are in like who are in triple I, who are in who are in ACS, and I talked to them like, okay, these are the issues I'm facing. Like, how should I do it? They told me that take part in hackathons, make your own personal projects, or like go to this seminars or webinars where people showcase their learnings. Take those steps. So when I actually practically went there and started doing hackathons, I remember my first hackathon was in IBM. IBM call for code 2019. I took part in that. So there I saw that people are actually practically thinking, and it's not only about data science. They're also able to use the other fields like Docker, Kubernetes in order to chip in the data science into the Android apps, then chipping the data science models into web development. There I got to know that I shouldn't limit myself learning only this. I should have a broad perspective. Yes, uh, you can't be you have to be jack like you can be jack of, but you have to be master of one. So instead of none, have a master of one. So be a data science guy, but have a overall view about how other things are going. So in my second year, I got an internship from Microsoft. That time, when I was doing the machine learning models and all, I got stuck like how to use this thing, like how to put this data online. So that time I was not that was versed with Azure, or I was not good at Flask and all. I learned Flask that time, how to put it on Flask and showcase it on online. And after that, I saw that my data is very static. I don't know how to connect it to databases back then. So I become very stuck. Then I again approached the community, the LinkedIn communities. That time LinkedIn was slowly growing. So I had some good friends. So started approaching them. I went to the company's seminars. I told this issue I'm facing. So through that I come to know, okay, I have to connect to the database and retrieve from the database, not from the data frames. I was getting this issue. So that increased my learning curve from knowing only one thing, like how to make models and all, and to making actual data. And actual data, by virtual data, what I mean, making MRDs, model ready data sets. So that's my learning curve. And coming to the working, so as a working professional, you'll get a lot of issues while, like you have a lot of dependencies on other teams as well, like front end team. They are not connecting your models properly to the displaying the on the customer dashboards or client dashboards, or backend team, they have not actually integrated your model to the APIs. You'll get all these issues, but in that curve also you get to learn a lot of things. So in the companies you will see mostly people use time series data, okay, and or business oriented clusterings. These are the two things I'm mostly seeing in companies. So as you go forward, classification and migrations are important, but understanding time series becomes very important, because the as like you have different clients, you'll work with different clients and they have different requirements, and they'll try to see like what performance they had previous year, what performance they're having this year, and how they're becoming better. And or not only becoming better, and you have to also know one more thing, which is called storytelling. Like how do you actually tell it in a storytelling mode? So there's a very good YouTube video. It's called Death by PPT. Just go and watch it. So it will tell you like how to not make a PPT. So basically, data is all about how well you formulate the data story about, like your data is there and you're finding something. So this journey from getting the data, analyzing it, processing it, and getting insights. And then these insights have a story, like why the things are like that, why birds fly in the winter, like they keep flying and going to other places for springs, why they do that. So this data analysis, why, or answering the whys with the help of data is very important. So that's where data storytelling comes into the picture. So these things I'm still learning, I'm still processing on that. So as a whole, overall, I would say that learning data science was not as straightforward for me. It has its own hurdles, but the my key takeaways are this: like in colleges we'll start off with learning this classification, regressions and all, but with as time passes we go to the corporate life, we're more focused on time series data sets. And now in the revolution era we are also working on generative AI and making some models, LLM models. And apart from that, we are in the, yeah, apart from that, as working wise, you'll get all the sort of issues from front end and back end and APIs in between, but you'll learn to tackle situations as you keep on going forward in your career.
Awesome. So as you mentioned about time series, recently I uh, clashed through a time series data which was too much raw for me to handle because all the time columns were in different formats. Some were in year, month, date format. Some were in a week, and like too much scrambled it was. So any of the worst data you have went through and you would like to mention your experience regarding that?
Okay, the worst that I went through. So I remember I was in a hackathon. My like back in my previous company, I was in a hackathon, and they asked me to make a chatbot. And in that chatbot, for the chatbot, they give me a data which is not only having your English words, it has Chinese, Japanese, and deliberately put in some Telugu words. So it is all mixed up. Like I was like, how do I use this data? So that was a very bad experience, first of all, like understanding how to segregate the data at first, because sometimes we are not able to understand, like it's like actually Chinese or Japanese with the words, the textures they are using in. And sometimes it's a mixture of Spanish and Italian and Spanish language. So it's very difficult to distinguish between these two languages. So first priority was like to understand like how do we segregate the data. So there were some NLTK tools are there, NLTK library. There's some tools are there, like it's called what is like it's called word
Watch.
transformers. So using this word transformers, I was able to group the English words, the Chinese and Japanese separately, the Spanish words which are actually looking like English but not English words. And then after that, I found that maximum words belong to English. Minimum, there are very small quantity words that belong to Chinese and Japanese, and lesser and and a middle section for your this your Italian and Spanish. So what happened is that the data quantity was also not much, and I was asked to train the chatbot so that is answerable in English, Japanese, Chinese, and all other languages that are there. So that time it was very tough, and so I try to learn this something called data augmentation is there.
Yeah,
So learning data augmentation and try to mimic the words or using snot. There's another algorithm called snot. So increase the number of words in a particular language. So using this, I was able to increase the size of the Japanese and Chinese. Although the words and the keywords are almost same, I was able to increase the length and use them to make a chatbot. So it was a very tough project for me, but we did
yeah.
it.
If I'm not wrong, data augmentation in natural language processing means that we increase the data using synonyms or similar phrases, right?
Right, right. Yes.
Yeah,
So there are two parts to it. One the image, one is a text. In image, what we do is that basically we rotate the image, we horizontally flip the image, vertically flip the image, or we twist the image a bit. That's what happens in your text image processing data. Coming to your text data, so it basically takes those words, checks for the nearest neighbor words, what are the nearest neighbor words, try to form some sentences with it, and also it checks for synonyms so that the there's a consistency in the word what the person is saying. So I will give you an example. Like suppose the sentence is like, um, humans shouldn't throw garbage on the road. Okay, augmented sentence can be like, the garbage on the road had been kept by humans.
yeah,
Humans are the reason to keep garbage on the road. Roads are polluted because of humans putting garbage on the road. So it's like that. Like it's just increasing the volume, but the main context remains the same.
yeah, awesome. You really gave a good example. So we will now move to the tools section. So basically, I use just Jupyter notebooks and Anaconda environment with it. But being an industrial professional, what tools do you use? Like maybe it may be Jenkins dashboard or like all the tools that you use
Sure,
before.
sure, sure. So coming to the professional world, so here also we have some. You use Jupyter Notebook, right? We have
Yeah.
something called Jupyter Labs. So we use Jupyter Labs mostly. So again, going back, little bit of details going back. So we have to spin notebooks up. Like we have different clusters, like we have GCP, we have Azure, we have AWS. So if we want a notebook for particular client, then we have to go to the client environment. We have to tell our DevOps team to actually spin these clusters with our different persons' namespaces. Like my name, like Om's name is there, then Pranav's name is there. There are different names, and inside that, they spin up our Jupyter Lab notebook where they have already installed all the required libraries are already there, and then all the required what to say the installation files are already there. The pre-required data sets are already stored there, so that we don't have to go and juggle around the data sets. So this is what we do, like Jupyter Notebook. And apart from that, we sometimes also there's something called Databricks notebooks are there. So Databricks notebooks are very much predominantly used for data engineering. So those are also there, but they are kept separately. And industrially, coming to speaking to analytics, we coming to GCP, we have something called BigQuery. So BigQuery is pretty fast, and like Pandas is really good while handling the data. And there's something called Dusk that's also handles the data very well. But BigQuery is very fast when it comes to understanding the data, like making the small chunks of data. So what we do is that first we use BigQuery. We make a small data set from we have huge piles of data, like petabytes of data. So we don't need that much of data to analyze a customer. So we boil it down to terabytes or gigabytes of data using BigQuery. And from then BigQuery, we pull this data to in our Jupyter notebooks in our clusters, and over there we follow the company's practices. Like handling the normal Python, this data pipelines to clean the data, and then we start with the model. The model is ready. Then the model ready data set is we have, and we use this model ready data set to pass through our various models that I have already kept for fine tuning and machine learning understanding. So to summarize this all, so we use like BigQuery to clean the data and get the major chunk of the data. Then it goes to our clusters where we have Jupyter notebooks. In Jupyter notebooks, we do the cleaning of the data. After cleaning of the data, we finally use it to pass it by our models and get the accuracy scores and model prediction values.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to ask one more question. So, as a data scientist in Deloitte, how a day in your life looks like? Like, how do you start your day, and how you guys remove blockers, and which methodology do you follow? Whether it's Agile and Scrum, like.
Sure. So, as a data scientist, so first, like in the morning, like we are having handshake times with the US folks. So in Deloitte, we have two parts. One is the Deloitte USA, one is the Deloitte India. So the India Deloitte India, they control the Indian projects, and the USI people actually have US projects. They talk to US clients and US projects. So we like as a data scientist, I have to come to the office. Not every, we have a hybrid mode. We don't go to the office every day, but we have to log in the morning. After that, we have a stand-up call. We discuss the day, like how do we approach the current situation, like current problem or the client requirements, and we discuss on that. After having a discussion, we try to formulate the way to solve it. Then the next part, we go and try to solve as much as possible. After solving it, we in the evening when the US people wake up, that time we have a call up with them, handshake. We call it the handshake stand-up calls, and there we talk to them like these all things we did over the day. This was our analysis, and what are the next steps we discuss with them, and going forward, like if we find some patterns, if we find some data visualization tools to visualize the data, we showcase those all things to them and take that this is the best way in which the client can invest in order to get maximum return or maximum customer retention. So we speak about all those things, and then yeah, so then the day ends, and from that day onwards, the US people take over the job. So it's like the day, like the work keeps on going. Like Indians work, then Indians stop working, they hand over it to the US folks, then US folks work, then they handed it over to the Indians in the morning hours and hour in the Indian times. So it's like a relay race. Like once run, they give the baton, they take the baton, they run their way, so that the work never stops. The work keeps on going, and we can get updates from them, and again we give the updates to them in the evening. That's the whole cycle.
Yeah, so you talked about data visualization. So what tools you use for data visualization? Because I only know two, that's Matplotlib and Seaborn. So are there any other tools, or you also use the same?
So coming to data visualizations, so when we do EDA work, okay, that time it's very important to do the data visualizations to understand how the graph is, like how the graph is. So basically, whatever client data you get, most of the time you'll find that they're skewed, they're sidely skewed, like they're tilted to one side. The data is not never uniform; it's always tilted to one side. So understanding where the maximum sale is coming from, which client, and what is the background of the client, and what are the best parameters that are actually playing a role, that's been taken care of. And then the tools we use are like mostly like Python, and apart from that we extensively use Excel as well. Excel. So let's not degrade Excel. Excel is still relevant. Okay. So we use Excel, and sometimes we go for even Tabula. Use Tabula for plotting the graphs, because Tabula has this plugin. We can share this plugin with the clients as well. They can also see at their own end and play around with it. That's the beauty of it, the Tabula. And coming to the libraries in Python, yes, we use Panda, Seaborn, and Matplotlib, but I would recommend try to use Plotly. It makes your very interactive. It makes the interaction with the plots very efficient. Yep.
Yeah,
Use
I think in Plotly, if we hover over the graph, it shows the that data points on that. Yeah. So this question may vary in each scenario, but which is your favorite graph or graph which you like to see or plot? Because for me, it's a heat map of confusion matrix. Which one is your favorite?
So my favorite graph would be like, I would say it's violin plot. Okay, the violin plot is my favorite plot graph because it not only tells you about the distribution of the data, it tells you the distribution as well as it gives the information about the outliers, and it also gives the information about the like the middle element, the max and mean. So everything at one go you get to see when you using violin plot. So
Yeah.
I love violin plot for that reason.
I think this one is similar to box plot, maybe
Yes,
just
yes, yes.
upgrade of box plot. Awesome.
Right.
So I am now out of questions. If you guys have any questions, you can ask him, or we will just end the stream in some time. So any questions? Okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat. Maybe I asked behalf of everyone. So I think we should end the stream. So it was really awesome to meet you, Om, and let's
Sure.
just end the stream. Any ending note you would like to give to our community?
Sure, sure. First of all, I would again like to thank you, Pranav and Anurag, also for having me. And I just love the initiative that you guys have taken to run this TensorFlow Nasik. And I keep looking at your posts on LinkedIn and also on WhatsApp. So, very vibrant community. I just love the way you are taking it forward. Would love to come again and, like, try to connect as much as help as much as the community as possible. Yeah. And the last keynote to all the viewers who are watching is that I'll say that confusion is the mother of learning. I strongly believe it's confusion is the mother of learning. So if you have confusion, you would love to learn and try to understand why it happened. So keep learning. And if you don't understand something, just copy it, go to ChatGPT, right? Explain me as a 5-year-old kid. That's it.
Awesome. So today I've got a new prompt template also for my prompts. Explain me as I'm fine. So with that note, we will just end the stream. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranav. Thank you all.